Hey everybody, it's Brandon and welcome back to the Civilization Cultures YouTube channel. Today I'll be covering European explorers and the Age of Exploration Part 2. So this is the Part 2 of a series. I'm so happy that we could actually get a little series started. I want to do a lot on the Columbian Exchange next. I have some of that PowerPoint created, and a separate slide and video will be dedicated to the effects of indigenous peoples. That I think that might even be a couple videos as well, because I think the topic is just very interesting to look into. I like indigenous peoples history, anything for Colombian, Latin America, Native American history. Super cool stuff, super cool stuff. I don't think it's talked about enough, and will definitely be covered on this channel. But for now, we are going to be talking about Part 2 in our series of the Age of Exploration, a very important time period, and one of the mainstream things as well, and how the Europeans went about North America today. As we understood in the last episode, a lot of European explorers and their accomplishments that were mainly Portuguese and Spanish during the earlier parts, during the 1500s or the 16th century, as well as the end of the 1400s or the 15th century as well, of Christopher Columbus and Bartolome Diaz. But today we'll be focused primarily on the Spanish, French, English, and Dutch exploration in North America. So the other part was just general exploration as well as some of South America. But I also forgot to, I'm not sure if I have them included. We might have to do I actually wanted to save Hernan Cortez for another day, as well as Pizarro, if I do not have him in today's PowerPoint. So here we go, guys. European Explorers, Part 2. So today, the first European explorer, this is just a continuation, so we're not going to go into the causes as well. But later we see that as the Age of Exploration goes on, other countries as well want to explore the New World and find land and territory. This is kind of just a generalization thing. When there are resources, other nations want to get said resources. If there's like, they just thought there was like free land, even though it was settled by natives. So, and that's going to be a big conflict later on. So just keeping that in mind. And today, as a start, we'll be talking about, I could not say the first correct, but we're talking about Robert Cavalier de La Salle. And it sounds familiar, he was a French explorer who led an expedition sailing down the Mississippi and Illinois River, and then declared the region around Mississippi River for France, and he's accredited to naming it Louisiana after King Louis XIV in 1682. In 1666, La Salle went to Canada to seek for adventure, and they got a land grant and made his own settlement, where he made relations with the local natives, where they told him that there was a river called the Ohio River that led to the Mississippi River that led to the ocean. La Salle wanted to find that sea route to China, but was unsuccessful. And next is kind of a continuation of story of this idea. We're seeing this idea right now. I just want to highlight this. There's an idea in these European explorers' minds of a Northwest Passage in North America, or rather another route through North America, or to trying to find this waterway to go, and then we're going to see this with even Lewis and Clark, for example. They're trying to find this Northwest Passage to get an easier access to the Pacific Ocean to trade with China. So that is a big deal. And, the end goal is to find a water route that is easy to travel from the Atlantic Ocean onwards and to the Pacific, to find this trade route by sea or water route to China. So this is just general theme once again. Next explorers we have is Luisa, Joliet, and Jacques Marquette. So, I could say not Louis, but Louis Joliet and Jacques Marquette were French explorers who were the first Europeans to explore and map the Mississippi River in 1673, which is a big deal in understanding navigation and cartography. During Joliet and Marquette's, I think I spelled that wrong, but expedition in 1673, as they were exploring the area near the Arkansas River, they encountered a local tribe that brought them to their village and said there were armed Europeans along the lower part of the Mississippi River, where they soon returned to Quebec, and they realized those Europeans were the Spanish. So we're already seeing some conflict going on, and where the Spanish, and they also realized that these Europeans were the Spanish. On top of that, they kind of realized that, that Mississippi River did not lead to China. It led to the Gulf of Mexico. And, this kind of just puts a damper on these Europeans' goals of finding that water route as well, after those rumors from, as we saw a couple slides back with De La Salle at the end. So next we have another French explorer called who is Samuel de Champlain, who was a French explorer who founded New France, or Quebec, on July 3rd, 1608. That is his main accomplishment. Once again, the top part of these slides will be primarily focused on our accomplishment and just the stories on the bottom. You will only, unless you like hearing the stories and memorizing them, have fun. This is this is just for fun. This is for me to get used to speaking as well. So I'm in presentations, just get nice and comfy for doing this for a long time. So just stay tuned as I improve my storytelling skills. And Champlain first joined Francois Grave Dupont's expedition to Canada in 1601 to 1603 and helped predict the geographic features and the connections of the rivers in the area around the St. Lawrence River. In June 1608, Champlain constructed a fort in current-day Quebec City after an expedition up the St. Lawrence River with Lieutenant Pierre Dubois de Mont. And we see a picture of Champlain right here. And next we have Jacques Cartier. Jacques Cartier's main accomplishment was that he claimed Canada for France, or rather that is credited for naming Canada, and the origins of Canada's name rather is after the native Iroquois Huron name for the area originally called Canada. In 1534, Cartier departed from St. Malo in search of a route to Asia, as well as gold and spices. Once again, we are still seeing this treasure hunt going on for these gold. Also, keep in mind that the Spaniards found gold. Rather, I think it was 1 to 2 decades before this, rather, with Hernan Cortez, as well as Pizarro in South America. So once again, this kind of also added another economic aspect of this so-called sort of sought-after luxury item of finding gold. And also there's Mount Potosi, but we'll talk about that another day, where he sailed around Newfoundland and Prince Edward Island. Also, that's a very beautiful place. If you ever see it, it looks really nice to look at. And in the Gulf of St. Lawrence. In 1535, Cartier explored the St. Lawrence River on his second expedition from the French king, Francis I, where he created the settlement near the Iroquois River and explored for the furthest to Quebec. And next, we're going to talk about an English explorer that you may have heard of, especially if you're in the state of New York. The word Hudson River comes to mind. Henry Hudson, connection of names is right there. So Henry Hudson was an English explorer who wanted to search for a water route in North America that led to the Pacific Ocean or the Northwest Passage. Hudson sailed for the Muscovy Company, a British company, to search for a Northeast Passage to Japan and China, and sailed northward and then saw ice, where he then sailed east and found Svalbard in the spring of 1607. On April 22nd, 1608, the Muscovy Company sent Hudson to find a Northeast Passage, once again, except this time between Svalbard and Novaya Zemlya, an archipelago above northwestern Russia. And this is part 2 of Henry Hudson. Hudson's second expedition was unsuccessful again due to being blocked off by ice fields, and after his return to England, he went to Amsterdam to work under the Dutch East India Company, where he agreed to return to Holland if he did not find a Northwest Passage, or East Passage. They were going about it different ways, rather. Yes, I'm very sorry about that if I did not make that clear. As we see I just want to clarify it a little bit later. So later, Hudson and his crew ignored the contract and decided to look for a Northwest Passage and explored the Hudson River in 1609. And that is his main accomplishment, where, he was looking for this Northeast Passage instead of going about it to the west and then what's it called? And like initially, he he kept on going. Well, rather, if we keep a track of his expeditions, we see that with Svalbard on the last slide, the company sent him the opposite direction of where everyone else was going. So they thought they'd take a different approach about maybe sailing around Russia. And, but except this did not work. So we're going to see him kind of ignore that rule. And this is a kind of a cool thing as well. When some people break the rules in history, sometimes they get kind of rewarded for it. Not saying that you shouldn't break rules, but some things just happen by accident in history. Some discoveries, some inventions of some sort. A lot of things actually happen by accident in history. It's kind of funny. A lot of things are coincidental. That's how we are here today. But once again, he is accredited to finding and exploring the Hudson River, which is in New York. Next, we have John Cabot. John Cabot was an Italian explorer who's commonly believed to be the first European explorer of mainland North America since the Norse. And this is a big deal because we know that Leif Erikson is usually attributed to, I think it was finding Newfoundland earlier in, I guess you would say, I think it's in rather medieval times and the Viking times as well. So this is kind of a big deal. And of course, we also have to keep in mind that until this video, we have only talked about South America and finding India as well as parts of Africa in exploration. So this is also a big development of how we want to go about. I also organized this by countries. As you could see, we moved from French to English. So I thought it would be much easier to understand rather than chronologically. So so that's just the reason behind that. But King Henry VII of England gave patents to Cabot and his brothers to explore new lands, as well as to enjoy a monopoly of any type of trade that they would create in the new lands they explored, as there's always this economic aspect of exploration and travel. In 1497, Cabot left Bristol, landed in the area around Newfoundland, Cape Breton, and southern Labrador. Cabot believed he reached Asia, so he returned to Bristol with good news of abundance of fish and fertile land with a temperate climate. It's going to see here, right over here. Also, he's not finding Asia. So there we go. Once again, we see this kind of theme of upsetted news that, they thought they might have found Asia, but they didn't. So, next, we're talking about Sir Francis Drake. He was an English admiral who circumnavigated the globe. He was the first British explorer, as we know that Magellan is the first European explorer to circumnavigate the globe, and he actually helped defeat the Spanish Armada in 1588. Queen Elizabeth assigned Drake to find a Northwest Passage and explore the western coast of North America in 1577. Drake led his fleet into the Strait of Magellan through a storm. During winter, they turned back to England. Drake landed off the coast of California, and he claimed it for Queen Elizabeth, then traveled across the Pacific Ocean, then to India, then to the Indian Ocean, rather, and around the Cape of Good Hope, then back to Plymouth in 1580. And we see a picture of Francis Drake right here, and also the Sir means he was given a title. Next, we have Giovanni De Verrazano. Giovanni De Verrazano was an Italian explorer who served under the French king Francis I, who traveled along the eastern coastline of North America. Verrazano was looking for a Northwest Passage, and Francis I felt that France was behind Portugal and Spain in terms of exploration, and that was also kind of true for the time. So Verrazano left in early 1524 to North America, first seeing Cape Fear, located in North Carolina. So they decided to go south and they reached Florida, but then they decided to go north and landed at the southern tip of Manhattan, then to Martha's Vineyard. After a storm, finally, and they only end up in Rhode Island. So quite the journey with Verrazano. I think it's one of the cooler stories in our age of exploration and European explorers stories. So yeah. Verrazano's last expedition led to his death when he attempted to go to India and explored uh, the Caribbean, where he anchored at an island. Then he got eaten by cannibalistic natives. This is quite the story, guys. This is quite the story of Verrazano, a man of adventure and getting eaten. So, once again, adventure is like, there's so many cool aspects to adventure, and I might make a history of adventure series and exploration because I think that's cool. But with adventure comes risk, and well, there we go. So, and I think that's actually it for today, guys. I thought I had a little bit more, but I must have had something else in store because I wanted to group the atrocities and the encomienda system for another day with Spain, as well as colonization in Latin America and Mesoamerica, rather, and the Caribbean. So I hope you guys enjoy this episode. I actually made this a day in advance so we could get more content produced on a quicker level as well. I could finish some work in time. So I hope you enjoy this, and I hope to see you historians out there learning in the world or doing whatever you please, and that makes you happy and is law abiding. So I hope you have a wonderful day, and peace out. See you next time.